So let's start looking at how do we write the script for this kind of scenarios. These are basic level stuff, and the first one which we have to look at is the script which takes input of your number. Okay, and then it should print out whether it is an even number or an odd number. So how do we look at this? So let me open the PowerShell and start look. So first thing, the script where I should write a script which can take input of a number. So for that, the command is read hyphen post, and we'll mention provide number. And then when we try running this, so it will ask for a number and I'll provide that. Now I'll store that in a variable, or I can actually name it as per naming convention. Now I'll use an if condition, because if you see, if the statement itself is saying when we take a number, it should print out whether it is an even number or an odd number. So either an even or an odd. So it just comes as an if condition. And here I'll actually consider saying num percentage 2 equals 0. So what does percentage actually talks about? It talks about the remainder. So let's take 10 percentage 2. Now, whenever you have any confusions in writing the conditions, this is how you write it. Okay. Even you can actually consider this way. 10 divided 2 and all that. So anyways, whenever the even number should be divisible by 2, and the odd number should be actually the other numbers which are not being divisible by 2, right? So in that kind of case, if you see the percentage 2, which is actually the remainder, is 0, and whereas the rest is actually comes under the odd numbers. So I'll write print the statement. I'll use the write output, and I'll mention this is a even number or is an even number, is an even number. And the same statement, I've mentioned. No. So let's try this. Clear the screen. And it is asking me to provide a number, and I'll provide it as 7. Now it is mentioning 7 is an odd number. Now that's the way to do this one. Now we can do more to this script. Suppose if I rerun the script, and instead of me providing a number, what if I provide a string? Now I'm getting an error. So I have to make my script. So usually when you're writing the scripts in your production and everything, they expect that to be fault tolerant. They expect it to be running faster. They expect it to be more user friendly in terms of while reading. So it's not just you wrote a script and gave them. It is like after you wrote the script and gave them, and you are not anymore with the project, or you are actually not anymore with the company. Now someone actually comes and reads the scripts tomorrow, they have to understand that. So it should have a naming convention, appropriate naming convention. It's always good practice to leave comments, like and if to make it fault tolerant. Okay, let's provide how do we make it fault tolerant. So I'll make it, so I'll just say it's an int, and I'll mention a try catch block. And I'll mention the statement saying and so let's try this. Now how that works, whether it's catching the exception or not. It's asking me to provide a number and I'll not provide a number. In fact, I will provide a string or any value other than number. Then automatically that will throw an error. And when a try catch comes, it is trying the statement. And in case if it is successful, then no problem. It just goes to the next set of statements. But in case if it is actually throwing an error, then automatically that error will be cached, and automatically this is whatever has been between this flower brackets will be executed. And that is why this is being printed out here, provide the input of numbers. And it has to keep rerunning. Uh, what do you say? Mm, mm, mm. It will have to keep rerunning till it has a value in it. So for that, we'll try this out. And before that, I have to say remove variable $num. Yeah, and I'll clear that. Now I'll rerun this. While not num. Okay, let's go for do while. That's the right way. Sorry for that. So first it has to get executed and then it has to go for do while there. And if there is nothing has been stored in it, then it will again keep running. And if something value has been stored, uh, then it is gonna come out of this. Now I'll try to run. Now it will say HM and see. It is asking me to provide the input number and no value has been stored. So when it came here, it is not any value. So automatically the condition will return false. But as I mentioned, not the false will become true. And because it's true, it will rerun that entire things. And I'll right now provide 10 and it will accept it. And now if I run this one, so before I run this, I'll just mention remove variable num and provide a number. So 10 is an even number. I'll rerun it and I'll mention 9. 9 is an odd number. That's how we do this. So if you have any questions, you can drop this in comments. Now let's start looking at this one. How do we, the script should only take input as number. If you provided any other data type other than integer, the script should point out to user whether saying that's an integer value. So The script should only take input as number, and if you provide any other data type other than integer, the script should point out saying whether the provided it's is an integer value or not. So here if you see, how will we do that? So normal ga input ఏదైనా తీసుకోవాలి అనుకుంటే we'll use the command read host and we'll say provide your input. Now that should be only a number, right? So I will say num equals 2. And it is taking a value and it is showing you it's taking the input, and num, if you see, it's having 1. But if I rerun the command and if I store any string, just like in the previous script we have seen, it's just because I didn't remove the previous variable. Now if we say string, now it is going to consider num, it's going to the dollar num is having ASD, but actually the script is trying to say it should only accept integer. Now when that has to be done, the only one thing which we have to consider is we have to mention here it is int. So we are saying that num should definitely be only integer. So any value which you're passing, it should be integer, otherwise it will throw an error. So when I do this right now and I run, and if I provide ASD, it's going to say that this is the error and it can't convert whatever this provided value into a number, and that is what you are trying, it is trying to show. So, and to accept that, we'll use the same try catch block statement which we have did, and that was this, where so what did we do just here? We first did a try catch block statement. So let me show you how did we do that. So first it is when we try to run this, we are getting an error, and this, instead of showing a red such thing, a red statement in red color, the statement which is an error, we wanted the script to run and should be a user friendly and everything. So to do that, we are actually using this try catch statement. So we are saying in try catch that try this statement, in case if you are getting any error, then automatically run the commands which you mention in the catch. And we are mentioning to the user, whoever is running that, you have to only provide input only numbers. So we'll just mention these. It's numbers. And then, but if I do this and clear the screen and I do this, now it is, if I provide any string, it is automatically mentioning that you have to only provide input as numbers. But it's coming out of it. I want, unless I provide the number, it should keep running. And that is why I considered here a do while statement. Now, instead of a while loop or a for loop, why did I consider a do while? So first I have wanted it to run, and after that, if it is not having the integer value, then again rerun that. So if it is not having a value, then I want it to rerun. And whatever value is being stored is definitely will be only an integer because of this syntax. And so this in while statement, this is, so the easiest way for this logic to be executed is using do while. Do while will first run without any condition check, and then after running it entirely, then it is going to run a condition. And here if you see, I mentioned that integer that provide your number, and it is having a value. If it is, if I'm storing any other thing, any so if I just look at now dollar $num, what will be the value? It is empty. Why? Because I provided ASD and it didn't get stored. It stored an error, and automatically this got printed out. And right now, when there was no value, that will return the in condition when there was no value for a variable, it will return as in a condition as false. And when I mentioned as not, the false will become true, and automatically this will keep running till I store a value in num. And to store a value in num, you definitely have to provide only a number. And that is how with this kind of logic, we are successfully able to achieve this. Now again, we'll resume this. Okay. Now this is the another way of writing script. Now we'll look at script, which is the script should ask me to provide the input of suffix of a string. Then it should ask me to provide input of second string. Then so later on, it should say whether the second string, whatever the input you provided the second string, has the suffix or not. So let's understand what is a suffix and a prefix. Whatever comes before a string, in a string before it will actually, like suppose in a script, sc comes as a prefix. So what does a prefix mean? So whatever value or whatever words which starts with sc means that can be considered as prefix, sc as a prefix. Now we can also say whatever is ending with pt. Any words which are ending with pt means that words have the suffix pt. So here to understand that, let me write suffix str equal to read host. I wanted to take the provide suffix. And now we also wanted provide str read hyphen host. And we'll mention that convert that anything into string. And similarly here also. Now we will say that we'll use if condition itself. Now if condition, we'll mention str like. We'll use the condition called like, and we'll say anything after which is ending anything which starts with str and ends with star. And let's see what does this return. First, I'll run this. Clear the screen. I'll run this, and I'll provide as let's consider the string itself. Okay, this is or I'll mention it as input as the string in, and the string is input. And now I will try to run this. So what am I trying to say? The this value str should be start with in, and if it is, it returns true, or else so if I rerun that, and now I provide suffix which is out, and in and I provide the string as input. Now I go and check this. Out the input is not starting, the string is not starting with out, so automatically it is returning as false. And we can mention that Write-output mention str starts with suffix str. Similarly, we'll write else then start with suffix str. And I believe this should be sufficient. So input doesn't start with out suffix. I'll mention it as suffix here. So that's how we'll write this. And it should be working out fine. Let's see if you have any questions, you can drop in comments. Thank you. Here, its suffix actually I meant is this one. So you have to automatically end here ends with mention sharing suffix string. So that is it. Thank you, everyone.